Okay, so break over, starting part 2 of this tier list. And we get to talk about season 3. Oh, I missed it. Oh, I missed! I'm sorry. I didn't expect to have that heart attack. So I was playing Mario Party with my friends the other night, and I fucking love Wario so, if Rosalina is available, I will always play as Rose. If it's an older Mario Party, I will always play as Yoshi. But my friend Wyatt, I will always play as Wario. I love Wario so much. And I miss it. I think it's in, the Japanese version of Mario Party 1. Wario's, loose shit. He just goes, oh my god. It's so funny. Oh... Bro, I'm sorry, I didn't... I need to drink some water. I'm fucking dying. I'm not even laughing at that anymore. I'm just laughing because I'm laughing. It's fucking contagious. It's an echo chamber. RWBY Season 3. I feel like I can describe everything that makes RWBY great by just talking about the opening of the season. And not the first scene. I was about to say, I don't even remember the first scene. I'm no, I think it's when RWBY is at Summer's grave. Because we're 3 seasons in and we're finally following up on her shit from the Red trailer. Come on, guys. But at least we're doing it now. No, it's When It Falls. Which, I don't think it's my favorite opening. I would put it as an S tier for the opening because it's really, really good. I love that piano riff. But then the lyrics kick in. Maybe red's like roses. Maybe it's the pool of blood is the first fucking lyric of the opening. And it just kind of keeps going from there. I feel like the lyrics to When It Falls are so over the top edgy. But it's sincere. I feel like it's written sincerely, it is delivered sincerely, and it just works for me. I can easily see someone listening to it and going this is way too much, this is stupid. And I there's a part of me that's it kinda is. But it's why I love it, and it's unironic. It is genuine. I love this shit. I can't tell you how many times I will just be minding my own business. I think there was a time at work, a month ago or so, where I was looking over a trust, and I was like, okay, this is the shit that needs to be in the trust. Let me make sure I got all the beneficiaries correct. I have all their, contact information correct. I gotta make sure I'm doing this. And as I'm going, making sure everything's done, I'm also just kind of out loud going, there'll be no rush, there'll be no love. It just popped into my head, and I'll just be minding my own damn business, and then the fucking chorus of When It Falls will just show up unannounced, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know what? I'm happy to see you here, because I just like it. It just does it for me. I was like, man, the season 2 opening I think is good. I will say the full version of Time to Say Goodbye, I think I like more than the shorter version. Some of the instrumental shit. I think there's these points where Casey's vocals get a lot faster, and I think it's really cool. And there's a part where the song really slows down. It's were we born to fight and die? I'm like, oh, that's that whole section of the song. This is a lot of foreshadowing for later in the series. It's really good. But fuck, I like When It Falls more. I really, really do. So let's talk about the rest of season 3 besides the fucking opening. Here's why it's an S tier season. Because it is. The second half of the season. It is one long ass climax that just keeps escalating and gets better and better and better. It is my favorite climax in the series. Like, again, maybe Volume 9 solely for the emotional resonance, or maybe the second Justice League crossover, because I think it's really, really cool. But Volume 3 is amazing. The first half of the season, it's fine. I think it's a tournament arc, and I love tournament arcs. I grew up watching Dragon Ball. I grew up watching Yu Yu Hakusho and the Dark Tournament that went on for fucking ever. I love shit like this. But I don't think the fights in the Vital Festival are that good. Team RWBY versus Team Hoverboard Dude, it's fine. Team Juniper versus whoever the fuck, it's fine. Team Sun with 3 S's, like, you mean season? No, it's not a color, it's sun. I'm sorry, that's stupid. Like, I'm sorry, I'm like, no, like, it's SSSN, that should be season. There's, it bothers me. Like, yes, there's only 2 S's in season. There's only 1 S in sun. Like, it makes more sense to me. Anyways, the team from Team Sun versus Team Indigo, despite the, you know what I would call that victory? Electrifying? No. Well earned. What you said was stupid. I like that line. I think it's funny. It's cute, but I don't think that fight was well earned. I thought that fight was terrible. Weiss and Yang versus Team Funky is, like, almost kind of good. Or, like, okay, like, I think it's fine. I think it's alright. I really like Team Funky, and, like, the dude whose semblance makes, like, he can make clones of himself, which, you know, not magic. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth here in a second. Weiss jobs so fucking hard in that fight, even more than usual, and I was laughing my ass off. Like, that is a pathetic showing, and it's kind of amazing. The fight with Crow and Winter, I like the fight, but I hate Crow, so there's that. Put a pin in there. Oh god, this season did introduce Crow. Can I still give it an S? Yeah, I can. I can still do that. No, let me just... Yeah, I feel like those are really the fights I want to talk about in the first half. And then, again, there's, like, Yang and Mercury, which isn't that great of a fight, which is on purpose. It makes sense. It's fine, and... Yeah, and then there's the fights in the second half, which I will save. The other things I don't really like in the first half is Crow. It felt like almost every line of dialogue out of Crow's mouth was, hey, isn't Ozpin really fucking cool? Man, hey, this guy has done so many good things. Why don't you guys blindly trust him like I do? Oh my god, Ironwood. Oh my god, James and Winter. Why do you guys even dare to think that Ozpin doesn't have all the... Like, that, to me, that's what he sounds like. And it's annoying. You can say what you want about Ironwood if you think he's a good person, if you think his plans make sense. He's the Tin Man. Like, does Tin Man have a heart or not? I've seen Season 8. Tin Man maybe don't have a heart. But I feel like he does. To me, Ironwood in Season 3 comes across as a man who says, I want to keep the people safe. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make that necessary. Oh, excuse me. And sometimes, to keep the people safe, you have to use a show of force. And then in later seasons, it's sometimes you really need to get your hands dirty. But at least in terms of Season 3, it comes across as, Oz, you're my boy. You know you're my boy. But maybe there's a different way we should handle shit. And Oz, to his credit, feels like he's like, Ironwood, James, I disagree. Here's why I disagree. And they're able to have a civil conversation about it. And then Crow does not let that conversation happen. Like, he's so fucking annoying. It's not his worst showing, season 8, by the way. Oh god, I hate Crow in season 8 so much. I'm gonna talk about it in some of these later seasons. Like, season 4, this is the worst season for Weiss. Arguably the worst season. I think this is the worst season for Blake. This is a bad season for Blake. A terrible season for Crow. This and this, I think, aren't... Mostly this, I think, is a really bad season for RWBY as a character. Yang doesn't really have any of those. I'll give Yang 1000% credit for that. I guess this is honestly the worst Yang has ever been written. It's her fucking character trailer. I just don't like Crow. Moving on, I guess. Let me talk about some of the things I do. Oh, another big thing in this season, which is kind of in the middle of I really like it and I really don't like it, so I think it's a good bridge point. Sorry, I think trying to impersonate Vic Mignogna's voice like actually fucked up my throat a little bit. I know it wasn't even a good impersonation either. I just tried to get all gravelly and I didn't like that. Is discussing the maidens and the magic and like here's the big reveal of the world and the plot, etc., etc., etc. The more I think about it and look back on it and seeing where the show goes, I do fuck with it. I think it's cool, especially if you've seen the World of Remnant episode actually about the fairy tale. I think it's really neat. And the implication that, no, these are all like the reincarnations and... Yeah, I mean, it is the reincarnations, essentially. Well, because they're not really being reborn. They're just going into the next person. So, I don't know. Maybe reincarnation isn't really the right word. I'm going to use that word anyways. That's the closest I can think of off the top of my head. These are essentially the reincarnations of his 4 daughters. I just think that's really sweet. What I didn't like about it is the way it was explained. There were just a lot of questions and holes that I had. I was like, wait, how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that? What the fuck? And then as the show goes on, I'm like, okay, no, that feels explained. That is explained. So we're good with it. The one thing is they're talking about semblances and dust and magic and shit. Because I think at one point he asks Pierre, it's like, what if you could use like crazy powers without dust? You mean like a semblance? No, like magic. After watching season 6 and the backstory episode, the way I understand it, this is not at all how the show explains it. Because they're like, no, that shit's not magic. That's dumb. Like, no. While the gods were there and everyone could just like snap their fingers and do shit, elements, blah, 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 that is magic. But then when the gods left, it seems like they kind of still gave people some shit that they could do. Some people could do it naturally in the form of their semblances. Other people couldn't. Or they still had magic in the form of their semblances, but some of the crazy, like, the element shit that people could do before they could no longer, and you need dust for that. Essentially, it is old magic and new magic. And generally speaking, old magic is stronger. And one of the big reasons for that, old magic has no cost. New magic costs dust. Except for a semblance, which also seemingly has no cost. Because they're not operated by dust. It's just, it's essentially just like your aura and your energy is the cost. I would assume that's also the case for old magic as well. So like there's an MP system. And then with dust, it's not based on MP, it's just based on material components. That's how I would explain it, but it's all still magic. I don't care what the show says. That's fucking magic, and you can't convince me otherwise. So getting to the shit I like of the season, we do get more of Weiss and her family. Like, Winter comes to visit, they get to interact, and it's really neat. There's scenes of her trying to teach Weiss more about summoning, so Weiss getting a fighting style change, I think is really good and important. Yes, I mentioned it earlier. I love watching her with the rapier and the glyphs and shit. I think it's really cool. Given how not great her performance record is, though, I feel like it is important for her to have something else she can use. Not to replace, but to supplement. And I do feel like you do get a fair mix of both in later seasons. I don't remember what it was. It might have been one of the Justice League specials or one of the later seasons where I was like, I don't think I've seen her summon almost at all this season. It's just rapiers and dust. And I really appreciated that. And there's the recurring thing of her dad trying to call her ignoring him, and her dad saying, all right, fine, you want to play that game? I can play too. I'm cutting you off. Your credit cards don't work. And Weiss going, well, that's bullshit. I'm not going to bite, though. I'm still not going to talk to you. You're an asshole. I'm like, no, I kind of fuck with that. I like that a lot. Oh, I don't think... Did I say anything about the dance in Season 2? I don't think I did. The dance shit was great. I loved it. It was adorable. Okay, now I can move on. Jean and Pyrrha. Their relationship is so fucking sweet. It's so beautiful. And even in later seasons, even after she is dead and gone, they still focus on it and how much she changed his life, how much she made him a better person, and how much he still loves her. And I love it. This is not good, but the fucking shit with Jean and Jessica, and like Jean seeing Pyrrha and going, I know this isn't real, but I have to follow her and I have to talk to her just to hear her voice. Like, you poor bastard. Oh, it was heartbreaking. It was great. Pyrrha choosing to die, knowing that I can't beat Cinder, but I can do what I can to protect the relic, which I don't even think she knew about, but it's like to protect the people and delay the inevitable as long as I can so people have time to escape. That is a true fucking hero, and I love it. And the fact that she gets rid of Jean by shoving him in his locker is A, kind of funny, 2, really interesting, because Cardin did the same thing to him, albeit with different intentions. But also just that sense of, there's multiple ways you can interpret that. Is it, I'm getting rid of you because I want to save your life? Am I doing it because you're just gonna get in the way? I think it's both. I feel like it's kind of supposed to be both. Like, I love you, and I want... She kisses him, too. Like, I love you, and I want you to be safe. And you're going to get in the way. And Jean will never forgive himself for that. I will never... No matter how strong I get, no matter how many people I might eventually save in my life, I failed to save one, and she's the one who mattered. And she did not let me try to save her because I was too weak. That's fucked. That is devastating, man. And I feel like their relationship, like, it's, aside from the bullshit in season 1, which gets better, like, by the end of the season, they make up. I think it's fine in season 2. It's really good here. I am deadass trying to remember what RWBY does in this season until the climax. There is this one fun interaction with Penny where she's talking to Penny about one of Penny's teammates. She's like, oh yeah, how is she? I don't think you've ever talked to her. I don't know, she's nice, I guess. I don't know, it's like, imagine Blake if Blake was forced to hang out with you. Oh, so Weiss. And like, I love that. I think it's funny. Like I've said, I don't like Crow, but I like his reactions with his nieces, because I do like that sense of family and the fun interactions. I think it's really cool. Blake, despite being the main character of season 2, doesn't really do much in season 3. There's a really important scene at the end, which I'll really talk about more with Yang. Well, I guess we can just kind of talk about them together. No, yeah, because I mean, there's basically, to me, Blake has 3 things in this season that I remember. 2 of them are with Yang. One is with Sun, because when they're going to watch one of Sun's matches, Blake gets all kind of shy, and it, to me, was very heavily implied that she's starting to reciprocate the crush, which is kind of why I'm later like, wait, so the whole thing was about her and Yang? It seemed like they were building up her and Sun, was I misreading that, or was it just we kind of made a change? Are they going both ways? Like, my personal headcanon for season 10 is Blake is going to date both of them. And she's not going to be cheating. Everyone's going to be okay with it. Because I feel like Sun would be like, dude, like, I really like you. And if I have to date Yang to also date you, I'm kind of down with that because Yang's cool. And Yang would just be like, dude, the more the merrier. Like, I actually think that would be really interesting. Like, yeah, there's just a dead-ass canon poly relationship between the three of them. Now I'm just imagining, like, the three of... what's the movie called? Take the Lead with Antonio Banderas, Dante Basco is in it, where, like, there's this three-person tango. And that's really fucking neat. I could see something like that. But, like, doing it as a fight, like, the three of them are fighting, I don't know, like Tyrion or some shit, that could be really fun. Now I really want to see this happen. I have a feeling it won't, but I really want to see it happen. But that's one of the scenes I remember with Blake. The other two are both with Yang. One of them is after Yang cripples Mercury, which sounds really bad out of context. She didn't know she was doing it. She was caught under a genjutsu. But, Yang's like, Yang, I want to believe you, but I can't. And that's nothing against you. That's because of Adam. It's because I have seen someone do horrible things and justify it and excuse it time after time after time, and I didn't stop it, and I can't make that same mistake. I need you to look at me in the eye right now and tell me you didn't do it. I didn't do it. Okay. Then I will choose to believe you. And it's not an interaction I at all see as romantic. It is it's based on Blake's past issues. But I don't see this like, oh yeah, this is like this strong emotional connection between the two of them and prove they really love each other or anything. I'm like, no, like, I feel like it's an interesting friendship moment. I do like the scene a lot. It's one of those, like, I feel like this writing makes a lot of sense from both characters' perspectives, but that doesn't mean it's romantic or sexual or anything like that. Like, I don't have a Bumblebee lens for it. Also with the other scene of Yang saving Blake from Adam and attempting to save Blake from Adam and getting her fucking arm cut off. Which, yeah, Blake doesn't really do too much in that scene. She sees Adam, she freaks out, Yang tries to save her, gets injured, Blake gets her out of there, and that's pretty much all Blake does all season. It's not much. So let's talk about Yang. Yang is essentially their MVP. She is the win condition of most of their fights, so she keeps going forward in the tournament. Fucks up Mercury, gets DQ'd for it, and is now, like, she looks like a terrible person, but is trying to plead her innocence, and her team believes her, and Blake eventually believes her, and I think that's fine. I like it. Her relationship with Crow, both as, like, huntsman, because he is giving her, like, I need to give you some advice based on this, and I liked that. And also of, I know your mom, because, you know, she's my sister. She wanted me to give you a message. And I don't want to tell you, because I don't think it's gonna... I don't know if you're gonna take it well right now, but I'm gonna tell you anyways. What she told me was, you get one. And on the train, against the ice cream girl with the parasol, that was your one. She is not going to bail you out again. And I knowing who Raven is in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, the social Darwinist that she is, like, I will give you one. After that, it's all on you. Then there's the shit with Adam, where she tries to save her friend. It doesn't work. She gets humbled hard. That's really what it is. Like, starting with the Neo fight at the end of season 2, Yang is just slowly but steadily getting humbled, and it culminates with Adam, which leads to a 3-season character arc that's... Oh, excuse me. Aside from season 9, RWBY is my favorite character arc of anyone in the show. I think we'll talk a lot more about it in season 4, but I really like it. It starts in season 3, and I think it starts in an interesting place. Let's talk about the climax. This is why it's an S tier season. And also When It Falls is really good. Fuck, the climax is great. This is when the show started doing some Symphogear shit, and it is, I think, the most fun the show probably ever, aside from the food fight, this is the most fun the show ever gets. The moment I remember is RWBY going, I need to get onto that airship. So she jumps out of the airship that she's on, uses her Sembi to teleport back onto the port, which is the Coliseum, goes onto one of the lockers, locks Crescent Rose onto the edge of the locker, does the shit to shoot the locker into the sky, does that, grabs Crescent Rose, jumps off, teleports onto an airship, then gets onto the top of the airship so she can fight Roman and Neo. That was amazing. That was so, such a creative sequence. I love it because it's a creative idea of, how do we get her up there doing this shit? I love it because that feels like RWBY's character. I need to go do something. How do I do it? An idea came to mind. I'm gonna fucking do it, and the idea is bonkers. It's why the slingshot is so cool. Guys, I came up with an idea. It's fucking insane, but it'll work. Season 3, it's fucking insane, and it works, and it's so good. What I love about RWBY's fighting, especially in these first 3 seasons, I don't remember how much it's in the later seasons. I think it still kind of is it's not just first thing that comes to mind, I do recklessness, which I like. It's also, she's genuinely clever and can come up with strategies. And some of it is just on the spot, let me do shit. Which honestly is kind of another problem with how she's written here. Was it in this one or this one? I think it was this one, where she's a lot more indecisive about her strategies and how she wants to fight, which I feel like would be a lot more, if it took place in season 8 or season 9, I think that would make a lot of sense. But it takes place partway through season 7, where I feel like this is probably RWBY at the peak of her confidence. No, the peak of her confidence is probably season 3, but it's around that time where she would be a lot more decisive and figuring shit out. I love the part in season 3 where she's hanging on to the blimp. Neo is walking over. Knife basically comes out of the parasol, and the strategy is, oh shit, she's using an umbrella. Let me open the umbrella real quick. And that way, when it floops open, the wind that's here, because we're on a fucking airship, is gonna knock her away. And then I don't have to deal with her. I can just 1v1 Torchwick, and that's way easier. And it works. That's really clever strategy. That's good shit. That's why I really like watching this character fight. Momentum or recoil, really fun shit. Crescent Rose, really fun shit. But the strategic ability to put it all together is great. Then you get Velvet, who was kind of built up at the end of season 2, and they did nothing, and was built up a little bit in season 3. And it's oh, this is what she can do. She has the Sharingan camera, where she can take pictures of shit and remake people's weapons and copy their fighting styles. And oh, those are shots from the red trailer. Those are shots from the white trailer. Oh, this is dope. This is really cool. This is great fan service while also just producing a really great fight. Let's go. I talked about the shit with John and Pyrrha, and it's great. And then you get Pyrrha dying. I mean, you also get Penny dying with her getting fucking ripped apart by Polarity. And even though it happened and I was that's fucked up, there was also that part of me that went, she is a robot. So is she dead? Is there a cloud system you can put her memory into? Or is it as long as her, what is the thing with Cell? As long as my head nucleus is fine, I'll always come back. Is there a chip in her head and her heart that as long as that is intact, she is fine? I don't know. So while it sucks to see Penny die, no pun intended, but I'm not torn up about it. because I feel like there might be an out. Then in season 7, yeah, she's fine. There was an out. And then at the end of season 8, because of other reasons, there is no out anymore. And that death is final. And boy, did it fucking hurt. Pyrrha dying, on the other hand, is no. She's dead. She is killed. She disappears into fucking balls of light and shit. That is real. There is no coming back from that. That is going to hurt in the future. And boy, does it. And I think it's great. And it's something that I really like about Cinder, is they give you a reason to fucking hate her. Not just like, yeah, I'm the villain, I'm doing shit. I killed a recurring character that I'm assuming other people in the audience liked, and that the characters liked a lot. I killed one of their friends, and there was no remorse whatsoever. And then she gets worse in later seasons, and I love how horrible she is. I think that's what makes Cinder a lot of fun. But I just feel like the climax of this season is so strong and so cool and so good, and it's like half the season. Yeah, even with its problems. I'm like, yeah, some of the early fights aren't that good, and I kind of wish Blake did almost anything in this season. She really doesn't. And it did introduce Crow, and I don't like him. I don't like him in this season. The good parts are so good. It's an S tier season. Now we get to talk about season 4. I think season 4 is bad. I think it's one of everything here and hopefully of yet to come. That is one of the worst. First off, completely different art style. And I've gotten used to it. But I wasn't at the time. I'm like, I don't like this. And even in the opening, which I love the song, Let's Just Live, I think is really good. And I know in the extended version, there's this additional verse that feels like it's very much written as a goodbye to Monty, which also at the end of season 3, I believe the song is called Cold, like the last song in the credits also feels like that. And I think both of them are really fucking beautiful. Visually speaking, I don't really like Let's Just Live. There's 2 parts that come to mind. There's one for sure. No, yeah, there is 2. I'm remembering it now. The first, I don't remember which part happens first, but first off, there's Tyrion when he's fighting, like, Team Ranger. There's this part I remember where he's, like, doing a handstand and kicking his feet at RWBY, which conceptually, like, that sounds like a fun idea, especially that's something that character would do. But there's something about the way it's animated that looks so off and so janky. Like, there's no speed or, like, impact to it. It's just off. And the other part I remember is Blake is having, like, this flashback of Adam and of him, like, dashing toward her. And she holds up her hands and makes this face like, whoa! Again, like, trying to use, like, Mario Party sound. One thing I love about old school Mario Party is if you don't have enough coins and you hit the star, you get Toad making that whoa fucking sound, and I think it's great. That's the sound I imagine when Blake does that. And like, it's her expression is so goofy to me. Like, I don't think it doesn't really show fear or like I'm paralyzed with what's happening to me. I'm like, this just looks goofy. This is some silly shit. I'm sorry. So let's talk about the actual season. There's, let's see, 4 main characters. Oscar, them. About 6 different storylines happening in season 4. And most of them are like total dog shit. First, you have our villains. So we get to introduce the rest of the menagerie. Emerald, Mercury, and Cinder don't really do anything. Mercury and Cinder especially, they're just Mercury and Emerald especially are just kind of there. Cinder at least is oh yeah, I didn't even fucking talk about the Silver Eyes at the end of season 3. Real quick, I like the idea. I think the way it's written though is total bullshit. Yes, there's a slight bit of foreshadowing. The first thing that Oz says to Ruby at the end, that's the black trailer, at the end of episode 1 is you have silver eyes. So clearly it's important. There's nothing about like what it can actually do or what it represents. It's not like, even when Ruby is talking to Blake in season 1, she's not like, yeah, I heard stories about dudes with silver eyes and chicks with silver eyes and whoever with silver eyes doing crazy shit. And I have that and I want to be like that. Like, dude, if I can shoot lasers out of my eyes, like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, it's a story. I don't think I actually can, but boy, that'd be cool. I could buy that. Or for Oz, like, when he first meets her, to be like, silver eyes. Like, do you know anything about that? They used to say warriors with silver eyes were, like, really fucking strong. Like, they could look at a Grimm and, like, destroy it with just a look. Can you do something like that, Ruby Rose? Like, no, I can't. Blah, 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 blah. Like, well, I mean, if you go to my school, maybe you could. Like, I don't know. Like, again, like, I'm just spitballing. Like, you don't have to write it exactly like that. But you could do something like that to set it up. But it's a fairy tale, but maybe there's some truth to it. And then when the maiden reveal happens, you're like, oh, there's truth in fairy tales in this universe, because they're all fairy tale characters. It works. It makes sense. Instead, it's like, oh man, how's Ruby Rose gonna get out of this one? Oh, I guess like that. Well, that's fucking bullshit. And even when it happens, Cinder's like, what? And then gets blasted. But she's like, that's bullshit. That's not fair. And no, I'm kind of with Cinder on that one. I don't like it. Anyway, back to season 4. You get to meet our other villains, and Watts doesn't really do anything. He's just kind of a dick. I like Watts a lot in later seasons when he gets to do things. Season 4, he's a nothing burger. Hazel's a nothing burger. Even Salem, like, she doesn't really do much in season 4. I don't have a lot of context for her. I think the reveal at the end of season 3 of her being the narrator is really fun. I think your design is alright. Like, I kind of like it. I don't know if I love it. Like, it might be a bit too much. But then after the backstory in season 6, I'm like, no, I get it. I fuck with it. I fuck with it more in hindsight. But at the time, I think it's alright. I guess Cinder's not really doing too much. There's a bit of, like, she's got to recover from what happened at the end of season 3. So the only one I have anything good to say about is Tyrion. Because he's just so fun. This dude going, yeah! Oh, the rose has the thorns. Oh, I've been insulted. But I'm gonna kick your ass. I fucking love this dude. The sounds he makes, the shit he says, the way he talks, just doing shit with his fucked up tail. I love it. I remember there's a scene where he's first fighting Team Ranger and he's like, okay, here's the sitch. I'm here to take Ruby because of her silver eyes. Like, I gotta do some shit. I don't care about y'all. But I remember, because I remember this from the first time I watched it. He looks at Jean and just goes, you interest me. You two don't matter. You're the target. I'm like, why? Why does Jean interest you? What the fuck has Jean done in these, like, 14 seconds to make you go, interesting? Literally nothing. Like, I know it's a minor thing, but it bothers me. Because I'm like, why? Like, sometimes I feel like RWBY just does, like, the show, I mean, the character as well, like, the show just does shit and expects me to not question it. But I'm like, no. Like, you didn't explain that well. That just kind of happened. There's a fucking scene in Kingdom Hearts. I think it's in Chain of Memories. I've seen a video of the scene just called, like, Kingdom Hearts in a nutshell. It's of Donald. I'm like, I can't do a Donald impression at all, so I'm not even going to try. Just, I don't understand what's going on. And Sora going, Let's just keep going. It doesn't matter. And that is exactly what Kingdom Hearts is. Kingdom Hearts has some really, really good, tight, interesting lore, and also has complete dumb dog shit at the same time. And I love it, and I hate it, and there's times that I hate it because of how much I love it. RWBY does similar shit at times. I don't think it's nearly as egregious as Kingdom Hearts, but it can do it. And like, it's a minor thing, but it bothers me, man. But Tyrion is the only good part of the villain storyline because the villains don't really do anything. Then we get Oscar. We have little to no context of anything about Oscar in this season, but I have to bring him up because he's introduced. And oh god, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't like Oscar. The reason I don't like Oscar is because the show gives me no reason to like Oscar. The story of I have this, like, the soul of a centuries-old wizard is now using my body as a vessel. And I have all of his knowledge and his memories inside of me, and I can speak to him as if he's a separate person because he is, but he won't be forever, and he won't be for very long. He is assimilating with me and eroding me until it's just him. And losing my identity, who I am, who I want to be, my likes, my dislikes, my dreams, my relationships, and becoming part of this amalgamation of Oz is terrifying to me. But I know I have to do it because without... It's like, I mean, I literally don't... I guess that's even it, too. It's like, I don't have a choice. There is literally nothing I can do. The only way to get him out of me is if I die. And he'll go to the next person, which means, hey, I'm gone anyways. So, like, I'm not gonna do that. That's even worse. That's so fucking interesting. You can make that so damn tragic. I know nothing about Oscar. It's season 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Because he's not in any of these. I mean, he technically shows up in this for like 18 seconds, but he's not in these. I think that's alright, but I don't know anything about him. I don't know what his likes and dislikes are. I don't know what his dreams are. I don't know about his relationships. He mentions having a mom. I know nothing about his mom. Or it's not even that he mentions having a mom. It's that in those few little vignette scenes in season 4, his mom is like, Oscar, come down to dinner in a bit. No, come here now. Like, that's it. Again, the Kingdom Hearts thing. Remember in Kingdom Hearts 1 when Sora's mom is voiced in the game? Sora, dinner's ready. Come on down. Sora? And that's it? And you've never seen or heard from his mom since Destiny Islands of Kingdom Hearts 1? Except there, like, yeah, Sora's mom just isn't important, although it does show that Sora has a family, and while he's always worried about, like, his friends and shit, he's never worried about his family. But that's kind of its own shit. Here, like, you can make me care about him and about what's happening to him. And they talk about it in later seasons. They do talk about, like, Oscar's fear. And I'm like, you're so close to getting me to care, but you don't give me anything to care about. Yes, he will be assimilated, eroded. What, though, is going to be lost? Because he's just kind of nothing? So that storyline in season 4 doesn't go anywhere. RWBY is now going on a quest with the remaining members of Team Juniper, which even though the P is gone and they're junior, I guess, I still just refer to them as Juniper. I just call them the Juniper Trio, and you know what I mean. Together with RWBY, they form Team Ranger, and I'm gonna be honest, that's a really fucking good team name. Like, That just sounds badass. That sounds like people that are going to travel the world to save the world and kick ass along the way. Let's go. Their plot is they're going to Mistral and to Haven Academy because that's the next location of the plot. The relics, which at this point, I don't know, do we know about relics at this point? I don't think so. I think Crow just said, hey, Cinder and shit, or they're probably going to Haven next. Let's do that. And then partway through, he explains the relics and everything. It's essentially the main plot of the season. It's fine. Nothing much feels like it happens in terms of overall story. It's like, all right, they get there. That's kind of... Oh, no, I take that back, because we do get the explanation of the relics. That is very big, important, like, plot shit. But it really is just, yeah, they get to point A, they get to point B, and everyone makes it safely. There's some fights, there's some brushes with death, but we all get there okay. Okay. RWBY herself feels like she has little to do in this season. She's the leader of this team, and it feels like she is trying to be their emotional glue, and I can't let my emotions show or get the best of me. As the leader, I have to keep us focused, I have to keep us moving forward. I have a lot of doubts because we failed in Beacon, and I don't want to fail again, and I failed as a leader because I don't have a fucking team anymore. Like, my best friend, I mean, honestly, Jean is her best friend, not Weiss, but it's like, my partner is gone because her dad took her, and I have not been able to get in contact with her. I don't know if she's okay. One of my other really good friends is gone. She left us. She didn't say anything. I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's putting herself in danger. I don't know if she's safe, because I know that she can be reckless. Look at season 2, Blake. It's like, I don't know what is happening to her. And my sister is broken. Not because of what happened to her physically, but where she is now mentally and emotionally, she is broken. And I couldn't help her when she needed me most. And I had to leave her behind so I could keep going. I miss my friends. I lost my friends. And there's other people I lost and I'm never getting back. I knew what was going to happen with Penny, and I couldn't stop it from happening. And I saw what happened to Pyrrha with my own eyes, and I was too slow to stop it. That's a lot of emotional baggage, and that's a lot of interesting shit. It doesn't really get explored, though. Because she's being the leader of Ranger, and she's like, I know they're dealing with shit, she keeps it all inward. You do see more of it a bit in season 5, especially when she starts getting reunited with the team members. I feel like in season 4, they're trying to go for a more subtle approach with RWBY's character, but it didn't work for me. Like, I can get it. I can almost see it. But it comes across less of, I'm going through a lot, but I'm pushing it down, and more of, no, I'm fine. And that's what I don't like about it. There is one scene, there's 3 scenes in season 4 that stand out to me with RWBY's character. One of them is very bad. Let's start with the bad ones so we can focus more on the good ones. We can end on the good ones. The scene I think is really bad is when they're fighting Tyrion and Crow's like, all right, kids, stay back. I got this. And RWBY's like, no, I'm not going to stay back. He's here for me, so I'm going to fight him too, because it'd be shitty if I let you do all the work. And because of her interference distracting Crow, Crow gets fucked up and poisoned and nearly dies. Good job, RWBY. Hey, remember in season 6 where you said you've never needed an adult to bail you out? Not only did it happen in season 4, your insistence of getting involved almost got him killed. Good job, RWBY. It's the scene in season 4 that sticks out that I don't like. Let's talk about the 2 good ones. the very end of the season, when she's writing a letter to Yang and is able to fucking emote, I thought it was great. I really, really liked it. The other scene is, I think it's after they split the party, and she's talking to Jean, and she's finally able to be vulnerable for the first time in the season and be like, look, I'm sorry that I fucked us up. I'm sorry that, like, my uncle got poisoned, and we have to take care of him. That's, like, my fault, because that dude came and fucking attacked us, and he wanted me, and we had to get split, which means you're split from your party members, and you're super worried about them, and I understand it, and they're not okay, you're not okay, and I brought you all on this mission, you're following me, and I'm doing a shit job as a leader. And John's like, Ruby, I love you, because you're my homie. I need you to stop talking. And the reason I need you to stop talking is because you're just saying stupid shit. You did not drag us out here. We followed you. Because we knew you knew where to go. I didn't, Nora didn't, Ren didn't, but we wanted to be there because this is now personal for us. After what happened with Pyrrha, we are involved in anything that happens now. We have the drive to go forward. What we lacked was the know-how of where to go. And not only did you give us that know-how, but you know what you are, Ruby Rose? You are a light. You are the North Star. Just seeing you and, like, your optimism and being around you gives us courage. It gives us confidence. It gives us hope. You give me hope. You give Nora hope. You give Ren hope. And that is why we follow you. That's why we're your friends. And I really, really like that. Let's just talk about the Juniper part, because it's genuinely one of the parts of the season that I think is really fucking good. You have Nora and Ren going, hey, this is close to home, or this place is home, because we've lived in the same place, like, we lived in the same village, keyword lived, because it was fucked up by a really, really dangerous Grimm. And being in the vicinity is giving us serious PTSD. And it's a genuinely interesting storyline that gives some depth to both of their characters. And I liked it a lot. And like I mentioned earlier, you have that scene of Jean and Pyrrha. Or Jean watching an old video of Pyrrha. And if I remember correctly, I was watching that scene and I was like, I think Pyrrha here is animated in the original art style. And I really, really liked that. It was like, I'm so nostalgic for this art style already. And we're only one season removed. Oh, no. But I love that scene with Jean. And like I said, I like his scene with Ruby a lot. I like it from both sides. Ruby getting to fucking emote. And Jean being support, which is what he does best. So that's the Ranger story. I think it's fine. I like what they're trying to do with Ruby. I just don't think it works super well, but I like what they do with Juniper. Let's move on to Weiss. This is Weiss at her worst. And I talked about Season 1 Weiss and how she is annoying, she is unlikable. Season 4 Weiss, I think, is one of the worst written characters in the entire show. And this is also a season with this also concludes Season 4 Blake. Oh, Season 4 Weiss, man. I'm gonna pause real quick so I need to drink some water. I gotta clear my throat for this one. Oh, I think something went down that wasn't just water. I don't know if I like that. I might have swallowed my tonsil. Season 4 Weiss is a character who is defiant, which is a word that Blake uses to define her, I believe, in Season 5. Obstinate, and it makes sense. Season 1, hints of the issues with her and her dad. I guess, let me say this. The white trailer hints of, like, her internal loneliness. Season 1, she specifically mentions, yeah, living with my dad was not a good household. Season 2, there's a further hint of, like, yeah, I don't want to talk to my dad. And then in Season 3, actively avoiding him and talking with Winter about it. Season 4, we finally get to meet Jacques Schnee. I love Jacques Schnee. I love him because he's a piece of shit. He's awful. But he's also reasonable. Not all the time, especially in the later seasons. Like, let me put it like this. Jacques Schnee in 7 and 8, total piece of shit. Total awful. Don't like the dude. I enjoy the character, and especially the voice actor just having a good time playing him. It's like, yeah, he's an awful dude. In Season 4, he comes across as, like, an asshole, but also as a businessman. I want to put on a concert. Like, Weiss, like, yo, you sing. Hey, remember that was maybe a part of her character because it was in the trailer? Yeah, the only other time I can think of her singing is here in Season 4. Like, that's just not an aspect of her character at all. It's kind of shitty. I don't want to say shitty. I think it's kind of sad. It's like, I want to put on a concert. Here's what it does. Number 1, it's a fundraiser. It's a charity. It gives to the people of Vale and Beacon. Do I care about them? No. But it makes the company look good because it makes it look like I care. And you, as someone who went there, actually does care. And you going and performing and singing, it reinforces how much the Schnee Dust Company cares about Beacon. But you offer legitimacy to that, and I do think seeing you up there and seeing you sing, excuse me, will give some semblance of normalcy, at least here to the people of Atlas, and make them feel like everything is going to be okay, and that's important. Okay, there's ulterior motives, which he's completely upfront about, but, like, again, like, he's an asshole, but it could be a lot worse. So the charity happens, or, like, the concert happens, there's the schmoozing afterwards, and Weiss goes off on her own, and then Dad's like, Weiss, where are you going? I'm going to get food. We have servants for that. It's a genuinely funny line. And she's like, no, I'll be fine, I'll just go. And he gives her the look of, okay, I'm going to let this happen. I'm trusting you, kiddo. I am trusting you to be able to schmooze and do what you gotta do without causing a scene, without bringing any unfortunate attention to the family name. I'm trusting you not to do that. Go on. So, Weiss, being herself, causes a scene. She gets into an argument with a dude and kicks him out. Then she starts yelling at the other attendees. And then she summons, not on purpose, but she summons something and it attacks someone. And the only reason it gets stopped isn't because of Weiss, it's because of Ironwood being awesome. Ironwood shoots the summon and is like, Weiss is the only person making sense here, and he dips. And believe it or not, Jacques Schnee looks at Weiss and thinks to himself, you had 2 jobs, Weiss. Number 1 was sing. Number 2 was don't do this. And then what did you do? This. I understand why Weiss has the reaction that she does. And I feel like that's important to say. Weiss is not being rebellious or defiant or obstinate just cause or just to give a middle finger to her dad. It is because I was there at Beacon, and I saw what happened. I experienced what happened. I experienced the fear of not knowing what was going to happen. I experienced the sadness of losing people that I cared about. I'm separated from my friends now. I can't go back there. Things aren't normal. Things aren't just going to be okay. Stop acting like they are. Stop acting like the people there got what they deserved. Fuck you. And after 3 seasons of her getting stronger and more confident in herself, especially after everything in season 3, it makes sense for her to stand up to her dad and have a backbone. Here's the problem. She has this conversation with her dad afterward, and when he's like, what the fuck, kiddo? And she's like, you know what the fuck? All of this is the fuck. This is like, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then looks her dad in the eye. It's like to say the windows of his soul and says, you have tainted my company name. And it's not your name, Dad. You married into the family. I was born... You merely adopted the Schnee name. I was born with it. It's my family name to uphold. It's my family name to purify from your... I don't like how I was about to say that. It's like, oh, that was going to sound really bad. That you tainted. That's the better way of saying it. Oh, that would have been bad. That you tainted, not from your taint. Her dad's reaction is, okay, 1, you're grounded. You're not leaving the mansion. You're not leaving this room. Because I can't trust you outside of it, clearly. And number 2, it's not your company anymore. You're not going to be the heiress of the company. I'm going to give it to your brother. You can't do that. Yeah, I can. I'm your father. I can ground you. And you don't own the company, kiddo. I do. And if you're going to piss me off deliberately, I have no reason to give it to you when there's another perfectly willing child of mine who is happy to take it. The reason I hate Weiss in season 4 is because she is defiant without accepting consequence, or without expecting consequence. That's the word I want. If her whole, like, if all the shit she did at the party and the charity was, this is how I feel, I can't keep quiet anymore. And if I have to be quiet to inherit the company, then I don't want the company. I don't want your tainted name anymore. I would like that a lot more. It is following up, again, like her arc of becoming stronger, getting a spine, and standing up to her dad. But it is that very specific of, like, it's the look on her face. Like, she is shocked and appalled that the father that she just spoke to like that would say, I'm not gonna let you talk to me like that. How the head of the company that she just spoke to like that would say, cool, I'm not giving it to you now. He's well within his rights to do so. Not like he slaps her across the face. Like, no, that's kind of shitty of him. Like, I won't lie, but I don't sympathize with Weiss here. I know I'm supposed to. And that, to me, I think is the cardinal sin of RWBY writing. Protagonist-centered morality. It's characters doing shit and making decisions, and I feel like I am the viewer, am supposed to go, no, she's right about that. She's supposed to do that, but I don't. I like what Weiss is standing for, but she's choosing the wrong time to do it. A conversation with her dad afterward is fine. Blowing up in front of everybody and assaulting someone, because by the way, legally an assault is not hitting somebody. That's a battery. Assault is I can't remember the terminology off the top of my head, but it's apprehension. It's like apprehension of imminent harmful contact, I believe. Essentially, it's, winding up your fist and throwing your fist at someone and stopping right before their face, that's an assault. Punching them is the battery. Now, granted, you winding up your fist, punching, and making contact, that's an assault and a battery. So, why summoning a thing and it going towards someone and trying to hurt them, that's an assault. Ironwood stopped it from being a battery, or maybe like an aggravated assault, or blah, 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 blah. And it's why I just don't like her in season 4. I think I can't even say all the rest of the season, she's a lot better, because everyone is kind of shitty in season 6. Everyone is, really shitty in season 6. She does not work here. Let's talk about Blake. Let's talk about season 4 Blake. After what happens in season 5, to me, what makes sense to Blake is one of two things. A, I don't know what I want to do. My friend was injured. I feel like I'm responsible. I don't know if let me say it like this. Blake deciding I need to go home to figure out my next steps and talk to my family, because in addition to my teammates, that is my other support system. And I alienated my family. I treated my parents like shit. I need to fix that. And in doing so, I might find my own sense of peace and clarity in what I need to do next. I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I genuinely really like the scenes with her and her parents. Kali, I believe is the name of her mom. No, I can't say that. Raven is the first mom we meet. But the moms, I don't know how they did it. All 4 moms are gorgeous. If I ever do a tier list of RWBY characters, which there's a part of me that wants to. There's a part of me that's like, this is long enough, and oh man, I don't have as much shit to talk about. There's probably just gonna be a tier list of all 4 moms, and be like, this is high quality. Anyways, I do really like the scenes of Blake and her parents. That being said, I feel like if Blake is saying, I need to leave and figure out my shit and figure out my relationship with my parents, she can tell her friends that. She's the one who talked about how much she hates running away. So if she is going to run away, I feel like she can at least talk to them about it. Because it's not a situation with Adam where it's like, I have to cut you out of my life because this is a problem. It is you got hurt because of me. I need to figure out what I'm going to do about this. But I feel like Blake would at least want to say goodbye. She would have the emotional maturity to say goodbye to her friends. After Yang got her fucking hand cut off trying to protect you, the least you can do is say bye and that you're sorry. But that doesn't happen. She just leaves. And I feel like that's so awful and so fucking unlikable. Also, throughout the entire season, she treats Sun like dog shit. And the reason Sun follows her, the way I see it, as the season went on and looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's not like, hey, I'm your creepy stalker and I just wanted to follow you. It's like, no, I know the person you are because I paid attention in season 2. The White Fang you see as your problem. The White Fang hurt your friend. You left without saying anything. The reason you did that, Blake Belladonna, is because you were going after the White Fang. You were continuing your Season 2 one-woman crusade to destroy them because you feel like you are responsible. And now that they've harmed the new people in your life, you feel that you cannot go back to your friends until they are safe from the WF. And I know you're going to do that, and I am going to do everything in my power to help you pull that off, because you can't do it by yourself. If you should have learned anything from the previous seasons, you can't do everything alone, and I've got you, because I'm your friend. And Blake's response to that is, no, I'm not doing any of that. Why the fuck would I want to fight the White Fang? What do you mean that was my character? What do you mean I said I don't want to be a bystander? I ain't getting involved in shit. Oh, really? Then, throughout the season, when Sun's like, hey, clearly the White Fang are like up to some shit, Blake. You wanna do something about that? You wanna, I don't know, try and deal with like your personal antagonist faction and something you feel you're personally kind of responsible for, and help the people and not be a bystander to the problems going on in the Faunus community and how the White Fang are doing far more harm than good for human-Faunus relations and the perception of the Faunus as a people. You want to do something about that? Son, stop. I want to be a bystander this season. It's so awful. Again, Blake saying, I need to go home and figure shit out before I make a move is understandable. A lot of shit happened at the end of Season 3. But I feel like the Blake that I know in Season 2... No, not Season 2, sorry. In Season 2, and even in Season 3, would say, I need to go fix that relationship, and I need to maybe take a little bit of time off to, like, mentally heal and emotionally heal. But I do need to do this. And what do you know? It's what she fucking does in Season 5. She's fighting the White Fang. Sun is helping her. Her parents are helping her. It is... I believe I've said this before. To me, Blake in Season 4 is Jean in Season 2. Or excuse me, Jean in Season 1. Where you have this character going through an entire arc, and somehow their character development, to me, makes them less likable. Because I'm saying to myself, this is where you should have been anyways. And seeing you work toward it is not making me go, yes, that's what I want to see. That's character development. That's you being strong and a better person. It makes me go, why are you wasting my time being such an awful fucking person? Why couldn't you just already be here? It would make you way more likable, and we'd be way more efficient about all this. If you are not going on that one-woman rampage, you don't have to cut your friends out. You could at least tell them, I need to go take some time. I'm sorry, RWBY, that I can't travel with you right now like Yang. I'm sorry. I can't look at you without just feeling guilt. And I mean, that's a pretty fucked up thing to say, but it's like, she can say something to someone. And her saying nothing, I think, is so fucked up. And it feels deliberately out of character. Yeah, she talks about, I have a bad habit of running. You know what it is? She also talks about, I don't want to be a bystander, and how much her friends now mean to her. And clearly, none of that was real in terms of Season 4. So as much as I criticize writing of other characters in other seasons, like Weiss here, Weiss, I feel like I can at least really understand why she's doing what she's doing. I just wish she had the concept of consequences. Like, I am willing to take those on. It would make her, to me, a lot more likable. Instead, you know, we have what we have. Blake, I think, is fucking awful in season 4. So with all that being said, with Team Ranger's story not being great, with Weiss being super unlikable, Blake being super unlikable, setting up Oscar who does nothing, and the villains who don't do much of anything, that's an F tier season. But hold on, you might be saying, what about Yang? What about E in RWBY? Yang is what makes this a D tier season. Because even the Juniper shit, it would still be an F tier season. They would just be the one saving grace, like, keeping it out of this. Yang is what makes it at least a D tier season. Her arc in this season is one of my favorites in the entire show, and it keeps going in 5, and it keeps going in 6. I'm not trying to put them in D because these are D tier seasons. That's just because that's where this was, and we're matching it. Yang in season 4 is dealing with direct consequences of season 3, and I can't even call it a fight with Adam because it really wasn't, but that confrontation with Adam and how he broke her. He broke her physically by cutting off her hand, but he broke her mentally and emotionally by humbling her. There's a moment in season 4 when Yang is given the new arm by her dad as, you know, the gifts from Ironwood, which is another thing I remember going is like, but why? Like, okay, because Ty even mentions, he's like, yeah, I tried to pull some strings and call up the people of Atlas to see if I could get a replacement. And if that was it, he's like, I called some favors, I got some strings, and I pulled it off, I would totally believe it. But it's the fact that they go the extra mile to say, Ironwood was already working on. Like, he was? Why? I mean, I get it. Like, Ironwood's a total bro. Doesn't stop the way the cast treats him in season 7. But Ironwood's a total bro. I feel like he would do it if asked. I'm surprised he, like, knew enough and cared enough about Yang's situation to do her that much of a solid. It's kind of like the Tyrion thing where I'm like, I don't buy that quite enough. You're just, sure, whatever, dog. You do you, I guess, you know? But there's a part when she's offered that new arm and she refuses to take it. And to me, there's a few ways that I see it. There is that sense of, I don't want to use it because what if it doesn't feel right? It's almost like this, the moment I try it on, if it doesn't work, everything I'm looking forward to and working toward no longer matters. Until I put it on, I can pretend that maybe I can be okay and I don't want to face my reality. There's also this sense of, I don't want to put it on because what if it does fit? What if it feels right? I'm scared of accepting how broken I am and that I'll never be okay. But what scares me the most is if I put it on and I'm okay, I have no excuse. I have to go back out there. I have to find my sister. I have to keep seeing if I can find my mom. I have to face him again. And I'm not ready for that shit. I can't put it on. And I don't believe any of that is said, but it's stuff I'm able to get from her character. There's a scene when Ty is talking to her. And I don't remember exactly what he says, but something along the lines of like, you know, sometimes when you're broken, you're able to get fixed. or you're able to get a replacement, and or like you are able to get fixed. Just because you've been fixed, it doesn't necessarily mean that broken part of you is fully replaced. But it is able to heal. And I remember watching it and thinking to myself, essentially what Tai is telling her is, while I've never been physically damaged the way that you have, Yang, I've been emotionally damaged, and it happened when your mother left. And I didn't think I would be able to love somebody again because of how hurt I was. But then I found Summer. I was able to move on. Summer didn't necessarily replace Raven. I still love Raven. But I grew to love Summer as well and was able to be happy with her. Now I've lost her too, and like that's shitty. But then I have my kids. I have you and I have RWBY. There's other people in my life. I don't love you two the way I love your moms. Hell no. That's fucking weird. But I still have people in my life that I do love in a sense. And that helps me. And I really like that. Like, he doesn't go that deep into it, but like, that's what he's kind of saying. And I love it. There's a scene when the two of them are talking with a couple of the teachers, and he's like, you know what, Yang? Maybe when Adam cut off your hand, he took off some of your brain too. And she gasps, and the two teachers gasps. I think I even was like, dude, that was fucked up. What's wrong with you? And then Yang immediately starts laughing and just punches him on the shoulder. He's like, you're such an asshole. And I'm like, oh, he's not an asshole. He just knows how to talk to his kid and what she responds to and how to relate to her on her level. And that's just great parenting. It is a story of a woman being knocked down and slowly but surely getting back up. And in season 5 and season 6, you see she's not at 100% yet. She still has to work for it. But she is still working. She's still climbing. She's still fighting. And when Blake in season 5 says, like, yeah, to me, Yang is the epitome of strength, thinking about her whole arc here in 4 through 6, I really see it. Yang is what saves this season from here. Okay, like, Juniper is what saves it from here. Yang is what saves it from here, but even Yang can't get it higher. The rest of the season, I think, is bad. I don't want to end this session on a season I don't like. There's plenty of time for that later. So let me talk about season 5 for a bit, and then I'm going to take another break. I don't know how long this video is. There's no timer on the screen right now. This could be 45 minutes. This could be 2 hours, 45 minutes. I would laugh really hard if that's actually how long this ends up being. But let's talk about season 5. So remember how I said season 1 is not very good, but I like it anyways, and then season 2 is like, hey, this is a way better season and fixed every problem? That's what season 5 is. It fixes almost every problem in season 4. RWBY gets to fucking emote now. Part of that is like when... Sorry, I thought I saw something on the screen. I maybe hallucinated. I hope I hallucinated. I hope that didn't just stop randomly. Tell you what. I don't know if I saw something weird, if my eyes were playing tricks on me. I am going to go ahead and pause real lickety-split quick, just in case something weird happened. And then I will continue, and I get to talk about season 5.